1-1 howled again, and gave Sir Patrick's other arm a twist and pull. It tore loose from his shoulder with a spray of bright red blood. Like a child pulling petals off of a daisy, thought John. Talk to him, calm him. The old tongue, he understands the old tongue. Keep back the rest of you. Put away your steel. We're scaring him. Couldn't they see the giant had been cut? John had to put an end to this, or more men would die. They had no idea of Wun-Wun's strength. A horn. I need a horn. He saw the glint of steel, turned toward it. No blades, he screamed. Wick, put that knife away, he meant to say, when Wick Rattlestick slashed at his throat. The word turned into a grunt. John twisted from the knife, just enough so that it barely grazed his skin. He cut me. When he put his hand to the side of his neck, blood welled between his fingers. Why? For the watch, Wick slashed at him again. This time, John caught his wrist and bent his arm back until he dropped the dagger. The gangling steward backed away, his hand upraised as if to say, "Not me. It was not me." Men were screaming. John reached for Longclaw, but his fingers had grown stiff and clumsy. Somehow he could not seem to get the sword free from its scabbard. Then, Bowen Marsh stood there before him, tears running down his cheeks. For the watch. He punched John in the belly. When he pulled his hand away, the dagger stayed where he had buried it. John fell to his knees. He found the dagger's hilt and wrenched it free. In the cold night air, the wound was smoking. "Ghost," he whispered. Pain washed over him. "Stick them with the pointy end." When the third dagger took him between the shoulder blades, he gave a grunt and fell face first into the snow. He never felt the fourth knife, only the cold. This is the final page of Jon Snow's final chapter in A Dance with Dragons, and in A Song of Ice and Fire, as we know it. This is the moment that 4 books have built to. Jon Snow's tragic death, at the hands of not only his friends, but his brothers at the Wall. And I believe this final page is very important, not only to Jon's character prior to this moment, but for his future in the Winds of Winter. Throughout the first 5 books, Jon's entire character is defined by his internal conflict. Who is Jon Snow? Is he a Stark? Is he a wildling? Is he a man of the Night's Watch? Or is he something else entirely? And in this moment, his inner conflict manifests physically all around him and ends up killing him. The giant and the wildlings being at Castle Black and sharing food with Lord Commander Jon Snow shows that his connection to the wildlings is very strong, and that deep down, a part of him will always be and stay beyond the Wall. Jon Snow wanting to march south to save his sister, to save his castle, and reclaim his home shows that deep down, a part of him will always be a Stark at Winterfell. And finally, the fact that he is literally at the Wall as Lord Commander shows that a part of him is connected to the Night's Watch. But this is a world that doesn't allow half measures. A world that is stuck in a way of living that Jon Snow just doesn't fit into anymore. And it gets him killed. But what's very important about this final page is how I believe it directly foreshadows Jon Snow's future in the Winds of Winter. The first part that I want to go over is Jon Snow's final thought, that being, stick them with the pointy end. Stick them with the pointy end is thematically important to Jon because it's a core memory that he has with his sister, Arya. It's what he tells Arya when he gifts the needle to her. It's a line that Arya thinks about incredibly often, and the fact that, in his final moments, John thinks about Arya means that deep down, this entire time, in his subconscious, John's connection to his sister and to his Stark family has, and will always be, the core of his soul. I would argue that if this wasn't the case, his final thoughts would have been something regarding wishing he stayed in the cave with Ygritte. But I believe George R. R. Martin picked this to be his final thought to hint at what he will do post-resurrection. Now, the first thing that I want to note is how I believe Jon Snow will be resurrected. I will have this be its own video one day, but to sum up my ideas, I believe that in his final moments, Jon Snow warged into Ghost's body and will remain in Ghost for the first chunk of the Winds of Winter. Then, Melisandre will sacrifice Gilly's child to the Lord of the Light in order to get Jon's soul back into his body. Unfortunately, I believe this will kill Ghost in the process, since there is a theme throughout A Song of Ice and Fire of direwolves dying while their respective Stark child has a form of rebirth. But on the somewhat bright side, I believe Jon spending so much time in Ghost's body will merge their souls to a point so that when Jon returns to his body, a good part of his soul will be fused together with Ghost's. Side note, but how cool would it be if Ghost somehow did live and was somehow a undead, northern, other wolf hybrid like the spiders and bears that the others have, but Jon gets to keep him. I don't know how that would work, but it sounds like a cool idea to me. But with that being said, when Jon and Ghost's souls merge, I believe the hunger that he has. He wanted it as much as he had ever wanted anything. I've always wanted it, he thought, guiltily. May the gods forgive me. It was a hunger inside of him, sharp as a dragon glass blade. A hunger. He could feel it. It was food he needed. Prey. A red deer that stank of fear, or a great elk, proud and defiant. He needed to kill and fill his belly with fresh meat and dark blood. His mouth began to water with the thought, will only grow stronger. And with his final thought being that of Arya, that of Winterfell, and that of his true home, I believe this final page of Jon 13: A Dance with Dragons foreshadows his journey in the Winds of Winter being one of desire. To desire returning home, reuniting with his family, reuniting with his sister, and becoming a far more hungry, cutthroat, and driven individual.